Happy August 1st. Hi there, I'm Amanda. Welcome to the Happy Homestead, and today kicks off the Every Bit Counts challenge. This is the third year that I'm participating, and the whole goal is to preserve something. It could be something that you're growing. It could be something that you've purchased from the store or from a local farm. There are no limitations and there are no real guidelines. It just do what works for you. Maybe you're growing some herbs, some basil on your back deck. Well, you can go ahead and dry that basil out in your house or make a pesto and freeze it in an ice cube tray. I've done that for many, many years, and then just throw an ice cube in whenever you need some fresh pesto into your pot, your pan. So today I am at the garden. I am gonna harvest what I can. It's been, I think, 3 days since I've been here. I'm tracking every 2 to 3 days, and you'll see that I probably need to come sooner. There's at least one more, if not two more of these this size. So we've got some things to harvest. We're gonna bring everything home. I'm not gonna get everything processed today, but we're gonna get something put up. So the whole goal is to put something up, whether you're drying it, fermenting it, canning it, freezing it. You could even batch cook some lasagna or casseroles and put some in the freezer for later this winter. The whole goal is just to make life easier on yourself by doing something every day for the month of August and then using it and enjoying it this winter. So let's get to harvesting. The garden's looking fairly good comparatively. Comparatively to last year. A lot less weeds. It's prettier. It's much more enjoyable to come out. And a little tip when you're harvesting, whether it be peppers, squash, or even cucumbers, you want to try to twist it off of the plant so you can leave as much stem on as possible, even with the yellow squash, because otherwise you may risk opening the plant. I did it on this cucumber too when I took it off. And all that means, it doesn't mean they're bad, they're still good, but it just means it's not gonna last as long. So whether it be cucumber, squash, pepper, use those first where you accidentally exposed the flesh. This one is perfect size. I am so tempted to leave it though when I come back this weekend, but it'll probably be monstrous, so I'll get it. My tomatillos are just starting to come in. Well, I say come in, it's just starting to be ready to be picked. And when you're looking at tomatillos, you want them to actually expose the skin. I know it's probably hard to see with the sun glare, but you want them to kind of burst out of their paper coating. The elderberries are just starting to come in. Our elderberry tree, it's supposed to be like a shrub, it's a tree. It's huge. We got it from Stark Brothers probably 3 or 4 years ago. It's one of the first things I planted and purchased when we bought our little farm. But it produces like crazy. The birds and the squirrels and all the wildlife get plenty. But these are going to be made into elderberry syrup this winter. It is steamy out here. Goodness. All right, my garden back there, harvested, done. I'm in my husband's garden here. He's got a little garden of his own they're both family gardens. I think a lot of people had questions about this back in the beginning of the season when we were planting and putting everything together. He just really wanted a place where he could feel like he accomplished something and did something for the benefit of the family too, which totally support, totally appreciate. So I'm in his garden. It also looks fairly well. He's adopted the wood chip method, which I love to see because it has helped keep the weeds under control. I'm just gonna go harvest what I can from his because he doesn't get out here as much, and then we'll head home. He does get better tomatoes. My tomato plants, I killed them all in the very beginning of the season, my seedlings, and so I had to start over. And he bought some plants from a local plant sale, and his are doing really well. Like I said, very well. So many cucumbers. So many cucumbers. Okay, I think I'm done. Got a yellow squash. I had a bigger zucchini earlier. I think I am done. So I'll say that there has been pest pressure in the garden this year. He had pretty bad hornworms. At one point a couple of weeks ago we were out here and he could see like all the tops of his tomatoes were just stems, no leaves. And he was like, what happened? I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, ooh, you got some big boys. But we could not find them. We searched for probably 15 minutes along these plants here. And what we think is that the birds found them and the birds got them because we could not find the hornworms. And actually just looking now about 2 weeks later, a lot of new growth. The plants recovered just fine. So they're growing beautifully and I don't see any signs of new damage. But that's how you know if you have hornworms. So we did have hornworms. We have had some Japanese beetles, especially in my garden. I have killed a lot of squash bugs. I just smushed them in my hand because I can't kill them fast enough. Same thing with the leaf-footed bugs, which are relative to the stink bugs or the squash bugs. All very similar species, all very damaging. I found some nymphs today, some baby ones, and so I violently squashed them too. But that's about all I have seen. Oh, a couple of cucumber beetles. Cucumber beetles will go on cucumber plants and in your squash plants, and they will most likely stay within the flower, in the yellow flower. That's what they're attracted to. And they look like a ladybug, except they're yellow instead of red, and they could have a stripe down their back or they could have dots, and that's the cucumber beetle, and they will transmit a disease that will kill your plant. And so I actually had a lot of cucumber plants probably 2 years ago be decimated by the cucumber beetle. So that's how I learned about them. And so I have seen a couple of them. I just dig my hand or finger into the flower and kill them on my fingers too. They're very tiny, like ladybugs. But look for them in the yellow flowers. That's the extent of the pest damage I have seen thus far. So again, it's to be expected, but I'm so grateful for what the gardens have provided thus far. All right, it is time to get out of the heat and go process some of this food. Definitely happy with today's haul. Now I gotta figure out what I want to do for the first day of the challenge because I'm not gonna get all of this preserved today. Oh, and I have got some blueberries and blackberries from our backyard this morning. So I think I'm gonna start with the blueberries and blackberries. I'm gonna get them in the freezer. I automatically just put them in freezer bags and we use them for smoothies, muffins, whatever later on. And then I've got some tomatoes on the counter from previous harvests. as well as maybe some from today that are really red and ready to go to their next step. So let me get some freezer bags and get the blueberries and blackberries done first. Easy peasy. So what I do, these are Roma tomatoes. They have a little less water in them. I don't even core them. I just make sure I take the green stem off and throw them into a freezer bag. Now I've already got some frozen tomatoes in here that I did core that were not paste tomatoes. But then what I do is I process these later on in the month or even later on in the season. So I've got about probably 8 gallons of frozen tomatoes already. Actually, that one needs to be trimmed off. And then I will use them to make sauce one day. All right, they're gonna go in the freezer for another day. I also already put the elderberries in the freezer. I kept them in that bag. I had put them in a bag when I got to my car. Maybe you didn't see that. And I just threw the whole bag in the freezer. When you're processing elderberries, you want to freeze them as soon as possible when you bring them home, and do that in a bag. It could be a paper bag, plastic bag, whatever, because once they're frozen, they easily come off the stems, and then you don't have to worry about getting the tiny little stems. Once they're frozen, I will then dehydrate them, right, get them off the stems and then dehydrate them, and then they're good to be used for elderberry syrup later on. So they are taken care of. Friends, I think that is all I'm gonna process for today. Just throwing some things in the freezer. But that's all it takes sometimes. That's all you need to do. Don't overwhelm yourself with thinking it has to be a big project every day. Now, clearly I've got some big projects ahead of me over these next few days. And I also have 2 boxes of peaches being delivered to the house tomorrow. So I'm gonna have a lot to keep me busy with the challenge over the next few days. So I'll come back and show you what I plan on doing tomorrow. I'm probably gonna do some more fermented pickles. I'm gonna can some green beans, and maybe make some zucchini bread to put in the freezer, because I haven't done that yet. So thanks for joining me on the first day of the Every Bit Counts challenge. I'm going to do my best to film, edit, and upload every day, so there's a new video every day to keep you guys up to date. And let me know what you're doing. I'd love to know what you're doing and putting things away in your freezer, your pantry, your larder. Stay healthy, stay well. Bye-bye.